all right, so when you hear that thought come up, or a lot of times I'll stop mid drill like a coach and I'll be like, hey, how many of you thought you couldn't do that? How many of you just realized you could do that? You just rewrote a limiting belief. So
Yep.
I'll tell them right away, like, did you just see how in your mind made it up to be this really big, hard thing that you can't do? But yet your body went and did the thing. You just proved to yourself you can do the thing. So then we just keep stacking that.
This is the Mental Mettle Podcast, where we explore how to forge mental toughness and resilience in every aspect of life. Welcome, I'm your host, Coach Matt Thomann. I'm an ICF certified professional coach with a background as a teacher, basketball coach, and athletic director. But my journey took a dramatic turn in 2020 when I survived both cancer and a stroke. Those experiences shaped my mission to help others grow stronger in every facet of life. Today, I work with athletes, coaches, educators, and anyone who believes that positive mental health is both achievable and a personal responsibility. This podcast is dedicated to helping listeners develop a positive version of toughness, one rooted in resilience, focus, and growth. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, in the classroom, or in life, this is your space to learn, grow, and take action. Join me on this journey, and together, let's forge your mettle. Your athlete probably spends hours working on the specific skill set they need for their sport, and they probably spend hours in the weight room building their body. But how much time do they spend intentionally training their mind? Well, building mindset is the key to bridging the gap between the skills that we see and game execution. Well, Mental Mettle Coaching provides individual programs that can help your athlete develop this third and crucial skill set. Okay, welcome back to the Mental Mettle Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Thomann, and I'm here with my guest today, Coach Jamie Kromm. How you doing, Coach?
Hi, how are you, Matt?
I am doing well. I'm excited for this conversation, and this is something that kind of I told you when we first met is that you and I work in the same space, doing some of the same things, and I believe this 100% when I told you that I think that what we work on the mental space for athletes is so much in its infancy. I don't feel like anybody that does something similar to me is a competitor, because there's we're scratching the surface on the amount of kids that are actually being positively affected by what we do. So there's enough for there's more than enough opportunities for us to do that. And I think that by building, like us two having a conversation about this is nothing but bringing awareness to the idea. And so that's my way of kind of introducing you that you do a lot of the same stuff that I do, but I don't know much I know much past, because there's a couple different ways you could go on what we do. And that's what I can't wait to get into, Coach, is what you do, how you do it. And of course, what I really want to get into is the benefits that you see, because that's what I think you and I ought to be really touting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the outcomes, right, of our work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a reason that we do what we do. So tell me the well, you don't do the cliff notes. You just tell me about Coach Kromm here and what we need to know to get into this conversation.
Oh man. Well, I feel like most of everything that I teach is things that I've learned, all lived experiences. I'm also a teacher. I still have a certified, I have a valid certificate for K through 8. I was, for the majority of my career, was teaching like 6th grade, 7th grade, middle school. That's my space that I didn't know I was really good at until I was thrown into that space.
Nobody knows that. Nobody, that's what I mean. I think that some people get into education, and I think that there are people that go in and they say, oh, I want to be in elementary school. And I think that there's some people that say, oh, I want to be a high school. And then you end up with this hodgepodge of people that end up being middle school teachers. They're a special, working with middle school kids is a special, it's special. We'll just put it that.
It is. And it's funny because I wanted kindergarten. I had student taught
right.
kindergarten. and then I got into and then I got this, oh, I'm gonna do kindergarten, and then which is so coveted apparently, this position. And so
Yep.
I get in there, and then my first job was like, hey, we need a fifth through eighth grade English teacher. And I was like, what? And but the thing that drew me was, well, I was very close to home. I grew up very in Pawpaw. It was like I grew up in West Brooklyn, nearby Mendota. I went to high school in Mendota, and then I taught in
Okay.
Pawpaw. So it's like this tiny town. And I had family. I kind of grew up there too. I had cousins that I grew up with there. So it was just a really easy transition for me. So I knew a lot of the people that were there, but also the job entailed I coached high school JV and varsity girls basketball straight out of college. And I just went right into
Like
this.
that was your first. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
like just thrown into the fire immediately.
Everything. Like, never taught middle school English in my life, but I got the degree because I love reading. That was like,
Yeah.
it just was easy for me, writing, reading, okay, piece of cake. I don't mind it at all. And then I'm like, wait, now I got to teach it. So it was just,
To kids that don't necessarily love it like you do.
no, no,
That's the
no, no.
that's the yeah.
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 So I found out very quickly that it's my niche. It made sense. Middle school made sense for me. I kind of act like the kids. I'm kind of their same height. I look like them. It just I kind of fit in there. So, yeah. So I found out really fast that that's what I'm good at. And then, yeah, my career just like evolved from there. And I followed. I did that one year. I coached there one year, Pawpaw, and then joined I still taught in Pawpaw, but then I joined my former high school teacher, or my high school coach, and he was in Rockton. And so I drove an hour every day after school teaching. And then so then I had this group of girls, sophomore girls. And so I got to coach alongside him, but then
Hmm.
also had my own team. And so again, just like, what I've learned through my career is relationships. And you know how they always say, it depends on who you know. Well, yeah, but also what I've experienced was like uh, because of who I am, who I was, who I be is how I attract opportunities. And so that to me is like the groundwork also for where I'm at now with Kamp Kromm and what I do
Absolutely.
online. It's like I have a rapport with I easily build rapport with kids, like, and this is something I didn't know was a gift, which is really cool about what we're good at is we never really know, because it's so natural to us. And so I would have principals tell me that you build rapport with kids so easily, and I thought, well, duh, I'm a teacher. Doesn't everybody else?
No,
Doesn't everybody
they
else
don't.
do this? And I didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I had no awareness around that. So that
Yeah, that's an interesting. It's interesting because I think that I'm a big believer in the fact that you can develop just about any kind of trait if you work on it and you can
Mhm.
do things. But I think that the ability to build rapport with younger people stuff is that's a hard one to just like it's hard. Like I think that some people just have it and some people
Yeah,
don't,
I agree.
and you can try to get better at it, but it's like you can't. The thing is, you can't fake that stuff.
Yeah,
The kids know it.
yeah,
Like you know what I mean. Like you've seen people try to fake it before, and it does not go well.
yes,
They're like drug sniffing dogs, man. They like if
they
you
are.
aren't real
Yep.
and you don't like feel what you're saying to them, they're like they don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah, it's true. Or to do with you. Yeah, it's
Well, yeah,
it's
yeah. No, I agree. And it's interesting. I kind of that's something I figured out too. It's like as I'm starting to work with athletes and stuff, I've worked with parents before, and they'll be like, "Well, you can try and talk to them, but I just don't know if you're gonna reach them and stuff." And I just kind of like go, "Yeah, well, just let me talk to them and we'll see." And then they come back, they go, "Well, how did you do that?" I'm like, I wish I could tell you. I mean, it's just maybe it's because I have a very maybe it's my sense of humor. Maybe it maybe it goes right down to their level. I don't know what it is, but it's great. I think that it's a big part of what we do that
yep.
um you have to be able to reach the kid because it doesn't work if you don't.
Yes, and I think that is something I really like that was my main thing first 2 weeks of school was getting to know the kids' first and last names. And this is something I'm always like preaching about is like knowing kids' names. And I'm an English teacher, so like I need to know how they spell it. So I need to
Hmm.
know how to pronounce it. And so I'm that is like my thing where I'm like, I need to know your name because your name matters. And my name matters. I don't want anybody calling me, a name that's not my name. I don't want you calling me that. So like right out the gate, I want them to know, like, I see you, you matter, your name matters, let's go, and that's something that I
It's you know
right.
what's really interesting that you're bringing this up is because one of the first things I do working with a kid is I'll just ask them what not just what your name is, what do you want me to call you? And I will get some kids that are so down on themselves that they will just be like, well, you can just, some
Yes,
people call me this and some people
yes,
call me that, and you
right,
can call me what you want. And that's
yes,
step one for me.
yes,
I'm like,
same,
no, what do you want to be called?
yes,
And that it's your choice. Like
yes,
there's nothing, if nothing else like that. And some of them are taken aback. And that's
yes,
honestly that sometimes when that happens, I go, ooh, we got a lot of work
yeah,
to do, but I know that it's going to be easy.
yeah.
There's going to be some easy strides we can make.
Well, and very noticeable growth, right? Immediately.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
That's it. Immediately you're like, okay, now I see where we can start. And it's funny, you said something about the parents too, though. You said something about oh, I don't know if you'll get through to him. I usually get the ones that are like, and this is no shade on my parents because this is, I would not be where I'm at without them, right? Like I would not have a
I
job.
gotcha.
And so it's interesting because they will approach me and be like, can you talk to my kid about this? This is what happened, and because what I do is like I think of it as like therapy for like therapy in basketball, therapy with basketball,
Hmm.
right? And so I approach it differently where the parents tell me I'm always open to hearing. I always can empathize with that. And then I go into like, all right, let's see where the kid's at, Almost like 90% of the time, they don't really want to talk about it. That thing that
Hmm.
happened.
Oh yeah.
They don't care, like they don't want to talk about it. Even if I do have a rapport with them, still we don't get into it. But my whole thing with this is I meet kids where they're at. I respect where parents, want me to fill that bridge. But like what I do is I meet kids right now. Where are you at? How does that make you feel? Because I feel like we can talk about what happened over and over again till the cows come home, but like that doesn't shift things. It doesn't
No.
shift anything really. And that's just my personal experience. I can talk and vent all I want, but like it doesn't change how I feel. Like so I get into like let's talk about how you feel right now. Where do you feel it? I'm more about like I want them to get really good at feeling into their body, noticing the sensation, what it feels like. And then because the more that we can do that and connect to our bodies, the more that we can trust ourselves, the more that we believe in ourselves, the more that we can like, we know that this person's good for us. I got to stay, or I need to stay away from this person or this situation. So, like, this is this from the inside out, building out that confidence. And if you can't feel your body, we're going to start here.
It so I went through a lot of I've got a certification in coaching, and I went and got my ICF, and it was at a time that I was I think when I got into it I was not into this stuff. Like
Mhm.
I got put into it because I had to start with the therapy and coaching after I had some serious health issues,
Of course.
right? So I kind of which opened me up to be vulnerable enough
Yep.
to allow some of that stuff, whereas I never would have before. Right.
Yes.
So when I say this, that like I understand people's, like when we start talking about where do you feel that in your body? I know how a lot of people take that,
Yep.
especially athletes, which when we think about it, how ridiculous that is, because
It
an
is.
athlete more than anybody needs to be tuned into their body, yet we shuck
Yeah.
that out and we don't pay attention to it. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense now that I look back at it.
Yes. Yeah. I That's
Right?
so funny that you bring that up too, because it's like, well, and also I just want to say there is this place for therapy, right? That is everybody
Absolutely.
people where they're at. I didn't need that. That's not where I went. I went into coaching where it was more like a partnership with somebody where I was taking responsibility for my own growth. And and also they were sharing their experiences. So that's what I know works for me. And so I just like to bring that part up, but like, and I think it's all an evolution, right? It just keeps it, the more you dig in and do the inner work, like the more, you need a different modality or a different tool. And so I do, but with the feeling part, it's fascinating because that for me, I had two ACL tears in high school, like within a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a lot of time really rehabbing, right? And thinking my career was over. And to be honest, I didn't care if it was. Like it
Mm-hmm.
just was at that point where I'm like, all right, this is I don't know. I don't know where life's going to take me. But I'll say this, I had zero awareness of my body. Like I
Right.
mean, who you can't I can't say that I had awareness when I tore my ACL twice. Like
Yeah.
what was I ignoring there? Yeah, looking back I see, and to be and another thing is that I went to junior college, played there, and then I hurt. I remember this because I was on a rubber court. Oh God, rubber courts, right? And
Just awful.
oh, there's no cutting, right? So like I went to cut,
No.
and then there goes my knee again. I'm down.
Yeah.
This is like the third injury. At that point, my therapists were like, my doctor was like, we're not fixing that. Like I had torn cartilage. They weren't going back in
Yeah.
there. They're like,
Yeah.
too much trauma to this one knee. And so I learned real fast. Like I thought, all right, I think my body's trying to tell me I'm done. Right. Like
Yeah.
I was kind of ignoring signs, but I don't even want to say that I was ignoring it. I just didn't even know, like, I didn't even notice. Right. Like now I have awareness of like, okay, I need to rest. I need a break. All right. Like if I'm getting sore here and I feel it, I need to step back from the gym. Like I have much more, respect for my body now. But yeah, like you said, I had zero awareness. And I feel like that was part of the reason why I got hurt so much, to be honest.
Oh, I agree. You're not, and just by not paying attention to things and
Yes.
not being aware of it and not, and listen, people can scoff at this all they want, but it can also be like past traumatic issues
Yes.
or other things you got going on in your body can cause those injuries to flare up and make it worse. And I'm not saying what yours are or
No.
were, but
Right.
it absolutely it affects it. It
Yes.
the body keeps the score as the book
Yes.
says, and
Yes.
it does so much more than we think it does. And but on the other side too, like you can heal your body that way
Yeah.
too by being in tune with it and breathing and yoga and all these things. You can
Yes.
do these things to make it better. And it's the fact that, again, back to my point, the fact that so many athletes
Yes.
ignore this stuff when it's such a source of growth and making them better.
Yeah. Oh, and here's, you just tapped into something is like, so as an athlete, I know you get this, is like, I, I I was good because I was an overachiever, perfectionist. So like that's where,
Mm-hmm.
so when you talk about there's more, the body's keeping score. It's like my body, I needed love and attention that way, right? I needed to
Mm-hmm.
be the best. And if I wasn't the best, then I sucked. Like I look back at teenage Jamie and I just have so much like, so much like I can't even say the word, you know what I mean? Like so much,
I,
like, dude, you were a badass, but also like really dumb, like,
yeah, like yes,
but then also like so much gratitude for that girl that just gave it her all. And like, and then I learned from like, I can achieve whatever I set my body to. Like
yeah.
I can do whatever I want. Like I had that mentality, but then I was missing why I was doing it. I was striving for something that never felt enough.
Well, you're never gonna get there.
Nope.
You're never gonna get there.
Yep, just spinning my
It's
wheels.
and never. It's so here's what you just described when you described yourself, and I don't
Mhm.
like you just described I will put it this way, it's like my favorite client. Whenever the parents and I start talking to the parent and they talk and they say, well, she's a perfectionist and she's really hard on herself. She's really good, but
Yes.
she gets anxiety whenever to try to make it done, and she gets really upset when she loses. And they're like, "Do you think you can help?" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
this is like low hanging fruit because
Yep.
it's like I know where you're coming from,
Yes.
and we can just start some of the exercises. I know it just I know how well it's going to work because they're so hard, and a lot of times it's the girls.
Oh yeah.
It's
That's my ideal
they
client.
just are. Oh, yeah, I know, but just because they in it, but I love seeing the progress.
Yep.
And these are also the ones that the parents that we see the most growth in, which
Yes.
is yeah.
And that's and then I've been I think let's see I've been this is I started Kamp Kromm. So like I started online coaching in 20 I left the teaching field in 2017. The best teaching job I ever had. Like I had left the middle school. I was burnt out, lack of oh my gosh,
Hmm.
support. And so and burned out. I just like, I was getting bullied by parents, by kids, and it was like I'm done. Like I'm done with this, and I'm my teams were winning too. Like by this point I was back to coaching in middle school. So like I was coaching
Yeah,
my kids that I had in class. So it was awesome. And also it was but then there was a part that was just like this is not actually really healthy at all. It came to the point where I'm like, okay, we're winning. We're winning and I'm still getting bullied, So I backed out and I thought, all right, I got my reading masters at this point and I got certified as a reading specialist. So I took a job, quite a pay cut, moved back into my parents, sold my condo, like came back home. So at the time I was teaching like an hour north in a small town. And so I moved back to my parents and I'm back in my hometown. But then I'm teaching an hour away. So I'm driving an hour one way to
hmm,
another small rural school. Best job, right? So I'm teaching like 3rd through 5th grade minimal kids. Like my workload is like cut drastically. So I'm
yeah,
right there, my nervous system is already healing, right? Like I'm
yeah.
already like wow, and then I left for California where after that year, and I just thought, oh my God, what am I doing here? What am I doing? I'm leaving the best teaching job ever. So I leave and I go to California thinking I'm going to live out in California forever, and only to figure out that like I needed to be 2,000 miles away from everything I
Hmm.
knew, everything that I was conditioned to believe, programmed to believe. And I learned how to come back to myself. What does Jamie want? Who is Jamie? And like I had the identity of the basketball player had to go. The identity of the coach,
Yep.
the identity of a teacher, the overachiever, the perfectionist, all that had to go. And then I got stripped down all that, learn, like some of the tools that you already mentioned, yoga. I mean, I could go into the bazillion modalities that I invested in
Right.
and came back. Then I was called back home. And life is just so
Yeah.
funny. Wasn't seeing that coming. Like I packed up, stored my stuff in a storage unit, paid, monthly for like a year because I thought I was coming back. And then eventually I realized I wasn't coming back because I ended up back at home, back at my parents' house. And now here I am having to integrate everything I learned back in my hometown. And so
Which is great.
full circle,
Yeah.
right? Like,
So when you talk about all these modalities and
yeah.
different things and sort of like tell me about some of the background or some of the type of coaching you can do. Just I'm just kind of curious the background and where it came from and what you do.
Well, the way it's interesting because I use so like a lot of the modalities that I had learned, then I actually did within my own coaching framework when I started my own online program, and so or online coaching, and that was in 2019, I think, and I had a whole framework thing. I had this whole process, and then I realized really fast that this isn't what's happening, and so I don't really employ a lot of tools like I used to. It used to be very grounded in breath, in journaling, gratitude journaling specifically, affirmations. And then there was one, I'm trying to think what else. There's something like tapping. I did a lot of EFT
Yep.
on myself, but I
Hmm.
don't teach that to the kids. But
Right.
what I do that is like super efficient is like we come back here and I'm always like tapping like I am safe, or like we get an affirmation and we tap and we take deep breaths.
Sometimes the kids don't need to know what
Nope,
you're doing or the
nope,
background.
nope, never.
You just kind of help them do it, and
Yes,
they get the benefit without having to
yes,
know all the stuff. Yeah.
yes.
Welcome to Mental Mettle Coaching, where our mission is to help you learn to thrive in the face of adversity, not just survive it. We are passionate about empowering you to live, play, and work with a resilient and spirited mindset. Hi, I'm Matt Thomann. I'm an ICF professional coach and keynote speaker. My background as an athlete, basketball coach, teacher, and school administrator has equipped me with the insights that resonate deeply with the schools, teams, athletes, and coaches I work with. However, it's my personal journey through anxiety, cancer, and an ischemic stroke in 2020 that truly brings authenticity to my presentations. While learning to speak and write again, I also pursued and earned my ICF coaching certification. Now the practices I embrace are more than theoretical concepts. They're a way of life. Developing a positive mindset is within reach for all, but it requires self-awareness and the repetition of intentional activities. At Mental Mettle Coaching, we'll guide you, your staff, and your students on this transformative journey. Together, let's forge your mettle.
Yes, well, but also this is my type A recovery, like this is that part of my identity that I also had to unshed, if that makes any sense. So like I was coming in like
Yeah.
controlling, and this is kind of a teacher,
Right.
this is kind of a teacher thing where I
Well, but
dictate.
coaching, but that's what I mean. Coaching is different. There's not a set curriculum because it
Yes,
has to go. You were saying it, and people might not understand. I knew what you meant, so we
yes,
should probably clarify. When you say meeting somebody where they
yes,
are, that's not just word speak. That's like an actual thing with coaching. Like it has to be their decision, their choice, reaching them where they are and helping them move forward. And that's not teaching.
right. Oh, right. So I had to shift out of that mindset into this like, okay, I don't know what's best for them, right? Like
Right.
they
Right.
so like they come to me with the thing or whatever's coming up. And so then I know in the moment, like I've come a long way to like trusting myself and knowing what medicine I need to prescribe, right? So it's
Right.
like you said, what the meeting them where they're at. So like some kids I can talk about these things with and get real like explicit and go into all the words, right? And all the tools. But like
Right.
most of them we're just like, hey, let's just take a deep breath. Like, hey, hold on, walk away. Let's go get a drink. Half the time they don't even know what I'm doing, right? Like I'm just like,
Right.
let's go get a drink, let's take a break, come back, because I can see it, I can feel it. And I think, and this is the other big thing that I teach is like the reason why I'm so good at what I do is because I have done the work on myself. And so
I'm
I
the same.
can feel it.
Yeah.
I can feel it in another human. I am very in tune with my own body, that I am in tune enough with a kid to notice that they can't handle it anymore. Or this is it. They're going to break here. This is a breaking point. We need to, you know what I mean? And so like I'm teaching that where it's like I want you to notice it. You're not going to have me with you 24/7. This isn't the point. You need to do this on your own.
Yeah. That was something that freaked me out when I was getting my coaching certification, and they were talking about literally about being able to feel somebody's energy and doing some things like noticing intuition in
Yes.
someone and then acting on that intuition
Yes.
and not being afraid to do that. And I'm like, this is all like nonsense. And then when somebody who was a really good, couple of them were just phenomenal coaches
Mhm.
that in our conversations would just ask me questions that
Yep.
say, I'm feeling this, I'm noticing this in you. What is that about? And then I'm like, I was like, are they
Yes.
in my
Yes.
brain? How are
Yes.
they doing that? And then I thought, well, I don't know that I'll ever be able to do that. But then
Yes.
through practice and doing it, you're like, well, what it is you can't be thinking about what you're saying next. You have to be like,
Right here.
and because that's what we do, right?
Yep.
And that's what I think that's the best thing about coaching is that you're not like, well, here's what I'm going to say next as somebody's talking. No, you're genuinely all three levels of listening. Like it's like soaking everything in. And it's amazing what you can hear and what you notice and feel when you do that with a person, even if it's virtual.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, energy doesn't lie, right? Energy can
No,
travel across the waves. So yeah.
that just freaked me out about that. And then it even freaked me out more whenever I was like, well, because they told me you got to practice it, and I'd try it and I'd be like, okay, I'm actually kind of good at that. And it really freaked me out at first, but then now you realize it's such a powerful tool for people.
Right.
But you got to build that rapport first, or you really do freak people out,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Then
yeah.
it seems,
Well, yes.
then it seems,
Totally.
then it's manipulative,
Yeah,
right?
I'm like they would be like, "How do you know this?" And that's funny because that's exactly how I felt when I was working with a coach, and I was like, and then I
Yep.
started crying, right? Like it just would come up, and I'm like,
Oh,
"How do you know?" And it's like, but then also it also showed me that, uh, yeah, I thought this guy could read my mind. I was really freaked out,
hmm
right? But also the amount of transformation that happened or the healing that happened like this, just from that, like 50 minutes with this coach. And I was just like a completely different person. So,
I like to say that I like to say that there's two parts of change. One is recognition, and then second is repetition. You're talking about the recognition, and the recognition can be huge,
yeah.
but you got to put some tools, some work into to make that stick, right?
Right. Well, it keeps showing up to calls, right? Like I have to keep showing up.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's the part too, is like eh, I was open and ready, right? So,
Well, you let me ask this. I'm going to ask this question. Like, if a parent is asking you, "Hey, can you help this kid?" I want to hear your answer, but my answer is always is the kid interested in being helped? Because if they're not,
yep,
I'm probably not going to make much
yep,
difference. Like they
yep,
have to want, like I can maybe crack a little bit, but they have to be somewhat interested, or I can't
yep.
push a rope, right? Is
Agreed.
like I like to say.
Agreed. Yes. So this is a really fascinating thing that happened to me this summer is that with my camps, I didn't just, not anybody could just sign up and join. I had
Yeah.
application form. And so what I did was I shared that with the parents, and then I could get a feel where their kids were at. I knew right away. I just felt it in my own body. I knew right away if this person was ready for the work or not. And so I had to turn away a couple kids, and super hard for a people pleaser. And I should say recovering people pleaser.
No, I gotcha.
And but this work isn't for everybody. And that's the other thing. It's not for everybody, but everybody needs it, right? But it has to.
Well, yeah, I think you have to hit. Everybody has to hit something in their life that makes them want to happen. Like you got to get knocked down a peg a
Yeah,
little bit. I think
yeah,
sometimes for it to happen.
yeah,
Tell
yeah,
me, so you're getting into it. I want to tell me what Coach or Kamp Kromm is, because we've kind of hinted about it, but I
yeah,
want to know actually what it is.
yeah. So it started off as, it's just really cool to see how it's evolved. When I first moved back here, I'm very big on nature and healing. Nature is very healing. Being outside,
Mm-hmm.
sun, trees. And so when I first came
Little
back,
grounding.
yes, barefoot, yep.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I I also just feel like it's open. It's just open, so it feels
I,
free. And so I started, this is funny. I had like, it called it Camp Kromm, and I wanted it to be like an outdoor thing. And so like at the time it was like hiking, and we were going to do some meditation, all these things. Nobody was biting. Nobody
no,
was in,
no,
right?
no.
And so
Yep.
okay, I shouldn't say nobody. I had four, right? I had four.
I gotcha. No, but I know what you mean, right?
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't the success that you
No.
dreamed when you put out the flyers, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know
I
what
gotcha.
I mean. So then,
Well, you know, it is like you come up with a new idea, you make the flyers, and you're like, "Am I gonna have to turn
yep,
people away?" And then you're like,
yes,
then hardly anybody shows up. So
yes.
no, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there.
It's very humbling. It's very humbling.
It is. It is. Yeah.
And so I ended up, so then the year goes by, and then I don't remember what happened. Basketball stuff. I think I just like started really stepping into my power, and I started really noticing that my city uh trusts me, and they like believe in
hmm
me. And I mean, I could go out in public, and I'd go to the bank, and people would be like, "Do you remember that one game when you had 17 steals?" And I was like, 17? It was 17? And I had to go back to the game tape, and I was like, "I had 17 steals?" I thought it was like, And then I was like, how do they remember from 1999, And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going back and I'm telling my dad, I'm like, what? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Why is everybody talking about basketball? And so
Right.
I couldn't understand at all. And then here I am, like really noticing, like, I know I'm here for a reason, right? Like, I know I'm back in Mendota for a reason. I cannot, what
Right.
is this? And then it just clicked. One day I was like, I'm going to have a basketball camp, And so and which, by the way, little side note, when I came out of college, I actually played at UIS for 2 years. I played at
Oh yeah.
IVC for before that for 2 years, and this was remind I had no intentions of playing again. So like it was funny that I ended up playing again, and I can't say it was the best decision, but financially it made a lot of sense, right? And it just
Sure.
to go through college, and I got a lot of school paid for. I wasn't in debt much, and that's that's awesome. And so anyway, going back, but I coached a lot when I was a player. So that was like I was coaching other teams. I was coaching middle school teams while I was playing at IVCC, and then like I went to UIS, and then I ended up, coaching a little bit at Lincoln Land, the school right next, the junior college right next to there. And so
Right.
I've always just been immersed in coaching and playing. And so when I so then right after college, I moved back home and I throw this basketball camp. Me and my sister. My sister is actually a lot better than me. Hall of Fame at Parkside, Wisconsin Parkside, younger sister, taller
Okay.
sister. Um,
I gotcha.
so she and I put on this camp together. I was right out of college, and so like we had our own little camp here in Mendota at the high school. And so it's funny. Then I fast forward a couple decades, and here I am throwing another camp. And I just felt like, and I knew right away, like I wanted to have this outside. I know it needs to be outside of the parks. Like we had amazing, like this, what's really cool is the city just redid like the concrete and I mean, we had like this really cool outdoor court. And then we had brand new hoops, amazing hoops. And so I'm like, I want to use these. And then come to find out I couldn't. It was, it didn't work out. And so anyway, I end up in a gym, and I yeah, so anyway, I got this gym secured at the local private school, and then I had like I only was taking 15 kids like per grade level. And so I
Okay.
wanted it to be small, and so I think I had 14 in one age group, and I think I had like 10 in another. And so
Yeah,
really
I mean, so as soon as you tagged basketball with it, then you got a lot
boom,
more people. Yeah, I
boom.
know. I
Yeah.
gotcha. I gotcha.
So, and interestingly, like it's very different. So like what I do is it's not I I promote it as it's very fundamental, the fundamentals of life in basketball. So like connecting to
Mm-hmm.
yourself, and then like all we do is dribbling, ball handling, form shooting. Nobody wants to do any of the stuff that nobody wants to do
I
anymore.
gotcha.
um and so because I'm very big on the foundation, right? So can't build anything from there. This is my niche, right? So then the following summer comes along, and I feel like I want to do it outside again. And I'm like, you know what? I know I need to do this outside. So then I end up doing it outside, but it was really quiet. And so like I didn't really blast it all over social media. And I only had like 6 kids. I had like really small group, and I thought this is
Okay.
interesting. And I actually also had a boys group too. I do feel like this is so big for boys. I think just as much
I
as
agree.
girls. And so yeah, so I had a boy group, I had a girl group, and then I had another girl group at the end, or I had a mixed group. Actually, it was mixed groups. So then eventually this summer rolls around, and I'm like, it needs to be both. Like it needs to be mixed groups. I just was feeling like mixed, because a lot of what I do, I intentionally make it hard and challenging so that all their stuff,
Sure.
all their uncomfortable stuff comes up.
Yeah, you want. Yeah, I agree.
You
Yeah.
know, because I want to be there in real time to coach them through that, and employ the tools, right? And so
Coaches, do you dream of guiding mentally tough athletes towards a championship? Kids that are resilient, persistent, and unshaken by setbacks. Well, in today's world, those athletes aren't born. They have to be developed. Many athletes face significant challenges and risk burnout. So how do we foster that mental toughness without overwhelming them? Well, introducing the Ember to Inferno program, Building Mentally Tough Athletes. This series is designed specifically for coaches, offering a deep dive into your own journey of mental toughness and equipping you with practical tools to build confidence and belief in your athletes. Rather than just simply adding more adversity to their life, we focus on creating a strong foundation for mental resilience. You'll learn how to transform a spark of motivation into a blazing fire of toughness, using techniques that address challenges like social media pressures, athletic stress, and trauma. Don't just wish for mentally tough athletes, build them. Join the Ember to Inferno program today and ignite the potential in your athletes. For more information, contact me, Coach Thomann, at Mental Mettle Coaching.
I think, again, this is my own past experiences. I grew up playing basketball against boys. Like, I grew up, we didn't have, I didn't have,
Right.
AAU wasn't a thing. We didn't even have a formed team in middle school until I was in 8th grade. So we had a summer league, but the only people I really hung out with a lot was my cousins, who were like 6 feet tall boys. Right. And they're just crushing me and my sister day in and day out. And so a lot of why I got good is because I kept pushing myself out of that comfort zone. I didn't know I was doing this at the time, right? I just loved my kids.
No.
I wanted to hang out with them. And so I learned real fast that I need to get in a space where someone's better than me, right? I didn't like it. It sucked.
Well, I think we all do. I think it's, it is.
And also I didn't know.
So when you're doing, so when you're doing this camp, I know you're doing fundamentals of basketball, but how are you employing some of the coaching stuff, the coach stuff, like for life and confidence, and like how are you in? Because that's what that's what I'm interested in, is how are you applying that or helping them with that?
So the 2-ball dribbling, we do a lot of 2-ball dribbling, and majority of the kids at that age. Oh, also my niche is like middle school. I've really cut it down now, where I'm like 6th through 9th graders is where that's it right there, And so, so I also only took that kind of, I was really refining this year and niching down, and not purposely, it just, that was organically what came up. And so, so what I do is the 2-ball dribbling comes up, and almost always I can see it written all over their faces. When I do the drill, I'll show what I want them to do, and then I ask them to do it. Almost always they're like this.
Yeah.
Like, just like, I can't do that. And then someone will even say it. So then I know, now I get a feel of like where they're at. Okay. And so working with 6 kids is where my capacity is, like, to be able to do this work. As you know, it takes a lot of energy, and
it should be,
presence. And so that is, so I have to have a small group, but so immediately I already know, right? Like, okay, I can see this kid is going to need a lot more verbal. I already know, like, this kid's going to need a lot more, I'm going to pretend I don't pay attention to them, but like, I'm going to actually go stand next to them, and then what I do is I'm always tapping into like I'll just not like say while I'm coaching, like while they're dribbling, I'm just talking and teaching. And I'm just like, all right. So when you hear that thought come up, or a lot of times I'll stop mid drill like a coach, and I'll be like, hey, how many of you thought you couldn't do that? How many of you just realized you could do that? You just rewrote a limiting belief, so I'll tell them right away, like, did you just see how in your mind made it up to be this really big, hard thing that you can't do, but yet your body went and did the thing? You just proved to yourself you can do the thing. So then we just keep stacking that. So that's what we do day in and day out.
Here's what people don't understand: the importance of recognizing that. Because if you let a kid recognize that and teach him to recognize that, that is a confidence builder.
Yep.
So it's one step can become 2, become 3. And if you skip that piece where you ask them to recognize that they overcame a limiting belief, they probably don't realize they did it, and they don't give themselves any credit for it. And that is it's so huge.
Especially for it's an athlete, right? Athletes they don't give themselves any credit, right? Like, they're not, let's just get on to the next thing and win. Let's go. That's it.
Right.
That's it. And that's
I agree. So I love that you're doing that. that's how you build real growth mentally
Yes.
is you have, just like you would anything else, you got to
Yeah.
recognize it.
Right.
I love
Well,
it.
and that's
Yeah, I don't know if you
yeah.
yeah, I agree. I don't know if you saw it, that I did a basketball camp
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
like that. I don't know if
Yeah.
so
I heard your podcast. Yeah.
I kind of had a dream for it, and it was for high school kids, and then we did it, and I got so it gave me so much
Yep.
empowerment to
Yep.
see the high school boys love it.
Yeah.
And I was so thankful to have my son there doing
Yep.
it, because he could run them through the drills and I could walk around and
Yes.
coach. It
Yes.
was just like
Yes.
I've
So
never
that's
I've
awesome.
yeah, I'm excited about your camp, because it's similar to mine, and I just
Yeah.
and we kind of came up to that. We didn't know each other. We're
Yeah.
coming at that same angle uh separately, and I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And also I think, you know, with this is because what I'm attract so the kids that come to me are mini Jamies, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that is how it is in the coaching world. So like we so anyway, I'm getting these kids that are like so of course they think I'm in their head, right? And I'm like, dude, that's because I have the same thoughts. Like I am you. And then I start to like point out like we're all very similar when we clear away all the masks. Like we all have this need to be loved and to be seen and to be heard. And so that's like the bottom part of it is like that's the thing, right? And so we all have different coping ways of like how
Hmm.
like there's a kid that acts out. That one wants love and attention. And then there's me who is like, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be the best child ever, and I'm gonna raise my hand, do as I'm told,
Yeah,
and I'm getting the same, I'm doing the same thing as that person who's acting out. I'm just doing it my own way. And so
right.
I see so I know that's why like we are good at what we do because we are them. And so like I know what I need to hear. I know some of them also probably don't even like I'll point out like do you like stop. Did you just see what you did? Like for someone else to point out and then like praise them for that when they think in their head that they just screwed up and they messed up and that was really messy and sloppy and that wasn't good at all.
Hmm.
And I'm like, but we're missing the whole big point. You just did it. You did it. You tried it when you thought you couldn't try it. I didn't ask for perfection. Who asked for perfection? Who said you had to do it like me? Who did I
Right.
say that? Did I ever say that? No. So it's funny. I'm pointing out like your mind made it up that you had to be just as good as me or as a person next to you.
Yeah, but what I can love and commend you for is the fact that you can recognize that these young girls are you at that age, but you aren't, I'm assuming here, Jamie, but you aren't choosing to coach like you were coached.
Exactly. And that's
And I think, because I think a lot of people do what you do and were like you, but then when they become a coach, they're like, well, I got to get past that and I got to coach like I was coached.
yeah,
And you're not doing that. You are leaning back into what you know and what you felt and coaching from that way, which is it's
yeah,
a much better way to
yeah.
do it, I think.
Well, funny that you bring that up because as I transitioned into from a player into a coach, from a student into a teacher, my first mentor was my high school coach, and so to be under his wing, okay, so like this is a male, I'm a female, and I had some really tough male coaches, like very
Hmm.
verbal, right, and I know one of my love languages, which is also, a pattern. So I'm aware of all this, but like I need affirmation. I need to know. I need to hear that. I need words. I need cards. I need letters. I soak that up, right? And so I I wasn't getting that from those two men.
Hmm.
And I can still remember a time when I went into the one's office and like my dad made me. I was crying. I was so upset after one game, which by the way, I'm pretty sure we won and I had a really great game, to be honest.
Sure, I'm sure you did. Yeah, yeah,
Like we didn't lose a
yeah.
lot when I was in high school. So it was funny that, I said to my dad, I cried to my dad and he's like, well, you need to go talk to your coach. And so I went in there scared out of my mind, right? It's a male, first of all, too. I'm already feeling intimidated.
Yeah.
And so I sit down and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm ever doing anything right. And I'm the point guard. I'm the starting point guard. So like I don't feel like I'm ever doing it right. One minute you're telling me I'm doing this, like I need to do it like this, and the next minute you're telling me not to do the thing that you just told me to do. So like I'm really confused here. So like then I had to have this moment heart to heart with him where he had to be like, look, oh, this team isn't running without you. Like what you're like, we
Right.
need you. Like, yeah, we got our superstar, but she's not anything without you. Like, but I had to hear that. I had to have
Well,
him,
yeah.
and here's the other thing about me. Like, I'm coachable. Like, he could push me. He knew, like, I'm gonna get every ounce out of Jamie Kromm. I know that if I just
No, but see, I disagree because you were going to do it anyway. You were
exactly
going to do it
right,
anyway.
right.
Right, because I think
You're
that
right.
some
You're right.
coaches say that and say, "Well, they're coachable, and I can push them, and I'm going to get every ounce."
Right.
You were a perfectionist anyway. You were good. He was going to get every ounce out of you already, and I feel like you could have got more
Yep.
with affirmations, right?
Right.
Because you would have.
Right. You're right.
I
You're
just I
you're
didn't
right.
mean to cut you off, but I
No, it's
get
so
tired of
good.
that.
That's
I
so good.
get tired of that thought and that statement. It's
Yep,
like there's kids that will give every ounce they get, and it doesn't matter if you
yep,
beat them with a stick or
exactly.
if you
Right,
like. They're
right,
just going to do it.
right, and then I would go home and I'd break down in front of my dad, right? But, like,
Yeah, yeah.
then it's like so now here I am coaching with him, and it just was a whole different like, it was really I brought my own flair to it, and at the same time, I
Yeah.
still questioned. I had no idea what I was doing. I was always looking to somebody else. I was always outsourcing my power. I was always everybody had to like I noticed that about me, and like I had to I had to please this person, and is this what he wants me to do, and why am I not getting enough feedback?
Your athlete probably spends hours working on the specific skill set they need for their sport. And they probably spend hours in the weight room building their body. But how much time do they spend intentionally training their mind? Well, building mindset is the key to bridging the gap between the skills that we see and game execution. Well, Mental Mettle Coaching provides individual programs that can help your athlete develop this third and crucial skill set.
And so I kind of was coaching like him, but I wasn't at all because I was a female coaching females. And so there's a difference
Right.
there where I could see immediately on the court. I'm like, coach, you need to get her out. There's going to be a fight. Get it out. Let's go. Like she's ready to blow up, like you can't let her in
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So like I was more emotionally attuned is what and so
absolutely.
I didn't know that though. Like I didn't know that back then. So again,
Right. And but that again, that goes back to me commending you for coaching the way you want to coach now, because I think that the
yes.
worst thing a coach can do is coach in a way that isn't them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. And
um,
but that's what I
but yeah,
learned. That's like, and I didn't know
I know. Of
anything
course you
different,
were. Of
right?
course. I know. Right.
And I listened to Kim's podcast, Kim, oh my
Kim
God,
Barth.
Barth, with you, and
Yeah.
I freaking loved it because I mean, we grew up in the same town, went to high school together. Like
Yeah.
I was upperclassmen, but to hear, like, I know her, but I did not know all the
Yeah.
steps that she took to like build what she's built there. And I had nothing but like, I was just so freaking proud of her because she said the thing that I mean, we both had the same coach too. So like when she said like, "Oh, my dad did this way, coached me this way, but I learned I couldn't do that with some girls." And so that I think takes a lot of emotional intelligence right there to
It
do that,
does. Well,
you know?
I think that it's becoming more acceptable
It is.
now to kind of to not coach. I mean, it's taken some time, but I think we're on the right
Yeah.
path for
Yep.
coaches to be coached with a little bit more emotional intelligence
Yep.
and not just get them on the line and run them and yell at them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
too, if we can I just we can always build I just feel like why can't we just love the kid? You know this, Maslow's hierarchy, right? This is the thing I
Yep.
learned.
That it's
The
number
one
one.
thing
It's,
the only thing
yeah.
I remember, Matt, from my education was that piece of like, if they don't feel safe and they don't feel like they belong, none of this
You're
is
gonna
gonna
get I mean you're gonna get me going here
I know.
because the idea of trauma and so like one how damaging trauma is on a kid, And for long term, if you've never read or heard anything from Nadine Burke Harris on The Deepest Well, check it out.
I will.
Phenomenal stuff. She's got, if you don't feel like reading the book, there's a podcast by Nadine Burke Harris about, and TED Talk. It's a TED Talk. Phenomenal about the long-term effects of trauma. And coaches might say, well, I'm not causing trauma in a kid. And to that, I would say trauma is in the eye of the receiver, not the giver. You can't say, well, I was just yelling at a kid. That's not traumatic. You don't know what a kid's come from, what their home life is, where things are, and what they've been through. You could absolutely be giving that kid trauma. And then again, they're not going to feel safe, and they're not going to learn. They're not going to get better. They're not going to grow. None of that stuff.
Yes.
Just because you're like, oh, I'm just yelling at him. It's not a big deal. Well, it could be.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry, you just got me going. You got me going on a rabbit hole there. That is like, it's so frustrating to me.
It is. It's, well, and that's the other frustrating thing about, I still sub in schools. So like, I'm still in a system that I think is changing slowly, but we're not meeting kids where they're at. And so it's very, what I'm sensing is like, there's a lot of curriculums out there, emotional intelligence, like social emotional stuff. I think it's a great idea, but the teacher has to be doing the work themselves. They can't just go in and teach this from a book, Matt. That's what I'm finding.
I know.
And so
but it's hard.
it is.
Well, and you mentioned earlier about as a teacher and a coach, you were burned out. One of my favorite things to do, I've got this curriculum I put together for teachers and coaches that I go into schools and do the positive psychology stuff for the teachers. And I mean, I ran into a teacher the other day. He didn't know me at all. I was back in a school that I'd been in before. He didn't know what I did or anything like that. I never met the guy. And I just said, hey, how's the year going? And his first response was, well, it's just teaching. And this was like, because it's just teaching. How good can it be? And I was like, it was week 2. And I'm like, man, it's going to be a long year. It's going to be a long career for you. Right. You have got to do something for yourself.
Yep.
Right. You've got to do something for yourself, this is awful. Right. How can you expect to enjoy that?
I think that's when I pulled out, because I noticed, because the beginning of the school year used to be my favorite, the best. I loved getting to know the kids, going back to school. I loved it. And then I noticed, like, almost like went right into, like we're into October and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I was so stressed. It was, and again, I didn't know I was stressed. So I feel like the more that we can connect to our bodies, the more that we can respond from love, we can follow our hearts, we can follow our soul, we can lead ourselves. Cause I always say, like, leaders lead, right? And the biggest thing about a leader who's leading is that person is leading themselves. You can't lead somebody else if you're not leading yourself. I mean, you can.
And I think again, Jamie, you keep hitting these things. Like, we got to shut down here in a minute because we're gonna run out of time here. But like, when coaches and teachers now are complaining about not having leaders, it's not that, and they want to have me come in and teach like a leader curriculum. And I'm like, listen, it's not about, they know how to be a leader. They're scared to do it because they don't have the confidence to do it. Right. And if they're not going to say things in front of their peers, if they don't have confidence to even feel good about themselves, that's not hard to understand. Like, you got to at least feel confident about yourself before you ask somebody else to follow you.
Absolutely. And I think, and you can't fake it. You can't.
No.
I heard that over. You can fake it till you make it. That's so not true. We have to feel.
No, I agree. I mean, I do. I think you have to do that. So I love this conversation. I could keep going, but I want to ask my last question I always ask in this. What did I not ask you that I should have? What did I miss? Because I don't want to feel like we missed anything. So what did I not? What's the question I didn't ask you that you're like, I was ready for you to ask me that?
I wasn't. I didn't come in with a script. I didn't come with any talking points. I go by how it works, how it flows. So I don't actually have. I can't think of anything.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Any last thoughts or words of wisdom for us, Coach?
Oh gosh. I think the biggest thing is like in this world that we're in today, I just feel like it's heavy and it's a lot. Like it's a heavy it's there's a lot of uncomfortable feelings and sadness and I just my thing is like we cannot fix anybody else or the world until we like tune into ourselves. Like and actually
Mm-hmm.
like I've always gone by this the law of one. Like the law of one is like you can only work on you basically. It's like
Mm-hmm.
focus you, control what you can control, your body, your thoughts, all that stems from you. So like we can't fix. I can't fix the government. I can't fix the suffering. I can only concentrate on myself. And then the more that we do that, the more that ripples out and that radiates out. Like so we
That's
actually
the
do
the
feel
word the word ripples was in my head. Like you
yep,
like if you work on yourself, that
yes.
your ripples will. Well,
Yeah, you
it's
heal
just
yourself, you heal
mm-hmm.
yourself, you heal the world, and I feel that, like,
Yeah.
I feel that how can I still have this inner peace in this world right now is because I see my own shadow, I feel my own shadow. I'm here with it.
I think the last thing that I want to say is you brought it up there is when you're talking about this world, and anytime that we're talking about working with kids and the trauma and things like that, it's very natural for people our age, older, whatever, is to be like, well, the problem is kids are too soft, and there's
Mhm,
what's
no,
wrong with these kids
yeah,
today. And but then at the same breath, I always ask them, would you like to grow up in the world that these kids are growing? Oh no, I don't want to grow up in that. Well, why not? Well, because we got this, we got the internet, we got social media. I'm like, yeah, then understand. If you understand that, then you understand the why these kids are where they are, because they're not growing up like you and I did.
yeah.
Very, very shaded and sheltered,
Well,
right?
yeah, because
Quite
we didn't
honestly.
we didn't have all the information, we didn't know what was going on out
Right.
there. Yeah,
The information
yeah.
is just like, it's crippling,
Well,
right?
it's why we're
It's
moving. It's why we're in the information era, and we're now moving into where emotional intelligence is key. Like we have to be able to
yes,
discern. We have to be able to feel.
yes. I know. And I don't, I can't say that enough to coaches and
Yep.
teachers right now that like, listen, recognize that this is not the
Yes.
same world. So you have
Yes.
to do things differently.
And it's changing
So
rapidly. So
mhm.
thank you, Matt.
I agree. Agree.
This was
This has
awesome.
been fantastic. This is a fantastic conversation. It went longer than I expected, but that's all right. I'll just cut out some of what I say before and after because this is really good. In fact, I tell you what I'm going to do. Usually I throw something on at the end. I'm just going to end the podcast right now and I don't have to do anything else because we have done, I tell you what we've done. We've done our job in promoting the idea of mental coaching for athletics and just, I don't know, the empower. But I guess real quick,
Yep.
the last thing, what is it like? You do see benefits when you do this with the kids,
Oh
right?
yeah, the outcome. So it's like it's almost instant. Like the kids will go home happy. Like they just feel seen. It's not the word that I'm getting from parents, but they are always like what I think was the coolest thing that I heard this summer was I had a group of boys, very athletic, talented boys, and sixth, fifth, sixth, seventh grade boys, and they were getting up on their own. The parents were like, "Oh my god, I don't know what's going on, but like
Mm.
they're jumping out of bed. They're eager to come. They want to know why it's not longer, and like so I just the, it ripples not just in basketball because they're going home and now they're like like they're going home to practice, which then that we all know, like the more that we practice, like it carries over, into other areas of life. So like I had one client that was feeling brave enough to try drama club, so like it's a sticking thing. The confidence is not just, it just doesn't come and go, like I'm healing on
No,
a level, it's a nervous system level, and so that's where you just it's wild. It's just
no. I had a parent go. My son just emptied the or start emptied the or took put away the dishes from the dishwasher. Did you tell him to do that? Like, no, I didn't tell him to do that.
right.
I'm like we've been working on gratitude and understanding how things are so important, how it's so helpful for us. So he probably just came and did it as a sign of
Yeah.
gratitude. And they're like, they're like, well, keep doing it. And I'm like, well, listen, like it's not, you know what I mean? Like it's
We
not,
don't know. It's not like
yeah,
you planned that this is what's going to happen. We don't know. That's the
right,
thing. We don't know how it's going to ripple.
right. I
Yeah.
know. That's great. Jamie, this has been
Thank you.
fantastic.
Yep.
Jamie Kromm, fantastic. I wish you all the best. We'll keep in touch, and we
Yes.
will share some secrets and share some ideas, and hopefully help each other grow in our business. And I appreciate it.
Thanks, Matt.
Jamie, thank you. I'm your host, Coach Matt Thomann. This has been the Mental Mettle Podcast, and always remember to forge your metal. Thanks for listening to the Mental Mettle Podcast. Don't forget to tune in every week for more insights and strategies to help you forge mental toughness and resilience. This podcast is brought to you by Mental Mettle Coaching, where we are driven by a passion for sharing knowledge and experience that empowers others to play, live, and grow with confidence. Our mission is to instill a resilient and spirited mindset in our clients, enabling them to confidently face adversity and actively seek new challenges for personal growth. At Mental Mettle Coaching, we offer individual coaching, group coaching, and professional development for schools and businesses. Whether you're an athlete, educator, or professional, we're here to help you unlock your potential and thrive in every area of life. Until next time, keep growing, stay resilient, and always remember to forge your metal.